where we get into what the discussion is for tonight. The thing that I want to talk about, that I've wanted to talk about. So we are sort of getting into that, right? When we talk about the landmass and we talk about how all of this works out, I think it's interesting to note what is going on with the Emerald Dream, the Shadowlands, and reality. Now, of course, for that, I'm gonna need the Old Faithful here. So there's a couple of things. I'm actually going to use the color version for this, just to have the color version. Yes, of course, it will be map time. My original talk, the original thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, was actually just the Emerald Dream. But the more I thought about it and the more we've touched on it, specifically throughout most of the Shul shows, more and more people have started to point things out. And it was really in the last Shul show that this sort of started to click. Especially considering the runes that we see right here. Now, I can't fucking remember where I saved this picture, so I'm just going to do another save of it, just so I can quickly grab it, so I can zoom in and actually show things. There we go. The runes around here really was the final straw. We know that these runes are meant to keep things locked up. We know that these runes are meant to sort of keep things imprisoned. Now, going throughout probably 4 or 5 different Shul shows, we've spent a lot of time looking at this map, and we've spent a lot of time sort of going back and forth about what the map could mean, where the map could fit in, what could be outside of this map. But one thing that for a long time escaped all of us is what lies right at the center of the map. Now, the first big problem with the center of this map is that it's literally called reality, meaning that everything outside of this is not real. Or does it only refer to us mortals? This is the mortal reality. So everything outside is a reality for a different being, not for us mortals, obviously because we come from the great beyond. Now, the first thing to note here is that Azeroth is not actually reality. I believe that this is a signal of the great beyond itself. So it is the great beyond that is reality, and Azeroth is the one that keeps it all together. But remember Sylvanas' words. This world is a prison. If you look at the runes that encircles the entire center of the map, these are Titan prison runes. So she's not entirely wrong. Now, before you go, Akalon, it's just a map. This map was legitimately drawn by the Titans. This is their map. So this isn't a case of, oh, you know, the Titans maybe just didn't know, or maybe they just wanted to point it out or visualize it this way. This map is drawn by the Titans very specifically. Everything is put in the way that they believe it should be in, right? This is their visualization of what the universe looks like. Now, what I want you to focus on is the link. Before we start talking about the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands, which we will definitely be talking about, I want you to focus on what we see here. We see reality. We see reality connected to the Shadowlands, connected to the Emerald Dream in the exact same way. There's, by the way, no other connection from the Emerald Dream or the Shadowlands to any of the other realms. What there is runes that we usually see when we see prisons encircling this entire closed system. This is a closed system. We've spoken about this before. We spoke about it literally the last show. This system is enclosed within itself. It's sort of a self-preservation system. No matter what any of these others do, no matter what the light, life, order, shadow, death, or disorder do, they do not affect the system. The system is closed, free from interjection. Remember what we know about the Void. It is said that the Void can't enter into our reality because there is a veil. Well, would this not be a veil, chat? Would this not qualify as a veil? Why can't the Void enter in here? Because the system is closed to them. The system was built to keep them out. But the system is obviously flawed. There's obviously major flaws within the system. So let's talk about the Emerald Dream first. What do we know about the Emerald Dream? Well, according to the Chronicles, at least 4 different people had access or maybe created it. Or 4 different groups of people created it. There's 2 people that we know for a fact is credited in almost all of those groups to being privy to its creation. That is Aenar and Elune, right? Those are the 2 beings that is sort of credited the whole time as being part of its creation. But there's also rumors that suggest that the Emerald Dream was there long before they arrived. That Elune and Aenar simply ordered it, simply structured it, but it existed long before that. Now, what is the Emerald Dream? The Emerald Dream is the pristine version of Azeroth. It's the dream, so to speak, of what Azeroth would look like without any interference from outside forces. That is what the Emerald Dream is. Now, we also know that there is now a version of the Emerald Dream called the Emerald Nightmare, which is what Azeroth would look like if the Void took over. But in its basic function, the Emerald Dream is the pristine version of Azeroth. Now, according to the Chronicles, this was built by Aenar and Elune. In my opinion, and this is a video that I made fucking probably in Legion days already, I speculated that the Emerald Dream is in fact literally Azeroth's dream. Elune and Aenar had fuck all to do with the creation of the Emerald Dream. The Emerald Dream is the literal dreams of Azeroth. It is how Azeroth, the Titan, dreams creation on her own planet. She dreams it effectively into existence, which would be far more connected to the origins of Azeroth, which is Azathoth from the H.P. Lovecraft universe, where Azathoth lies at the center of the universe and physically dreams the universe. This is what Azeroth does. This is her dream. Aenar and Elune stepping in and ordering it is to ensure that Azeroth could continuously dream reality, so dream life, but if necessary, if Azeroth was to be re-originated, the dream would serve as the blueprint for rebuilding the world exactly as it was before. Why does that need to happen? Why do they need to keep the world exactly as it was before? Does anyone in chat have any ideas around this? The Emerald Dream is connected to imprison Azeroth's mind by keeping it trapped in a dream state. While the Shadowlands imprison Azeroth's power, the anima that flows through mortal beings, while the runes keep her body imprisoned inside the world. I could see it the same way, Dragonwolf. I could definitely see it the exact same way. Is there anyone in chat that has any sort of theories around why outside of Dragonwolf's theory, anyone else wants to sort of touch on why you need to re-originate the world exactly as it was before? If the veil falls and the Void Lords invade, they need a reset button. Traxxer, true, but that's not the only time they've wanted to reset it. And the question more so becomes, why do you want to reset it exactly to the way it was before? Why is that so important to you? I mean, Azeroth dreams up her own reality anyways, so she will just dream up a different one, right? I agree with Apocalypse, by the way. They are using Azeroth as a giant battery. They can't risk Azeroth dreaming different things. They can't risk Azeroth changing the landscape of the world. The world must be reset every single time exactly as it was before, so that all of their prisons, all of their engines remain intact, remain where it should be, because those engines are literally set upon the ley lines and set upon the lifelines of the planet. If Azeroth dreams a different system, it could mean that they would have to come back in order to change it again so that they can tap into those systems again. You see, because without Azeroth, their entire little experiment falls apart. The Emerald Dream becomes nothing. The Shadowlands becomes nothing. You see, I don't believe that the Shadowlands is at all connected to death. Not even in the fucking slightest. The Shadowlands is a version of death that the Titans created in order to ensure that the power of anima does not go to any of these entities, so that these entities cannot get their hands on the anima. This ensures that they keep the anima to themselves. The entire system is built this way. The Shadowlands is, we're told by the Titans, right? The very Titans, the beings that's been there since the beginning. In the Chronicles, they write that they have no idea who made the Shadowlands. The Shadowlands seems to be just a place where people go when they die. Are you telling me that these great beings weren't there when everything in the Shadowlands screams order? Everything in the Shadowlands. If you watch that cinematic where what's his name? One of the attendants of the Arbiter, where he tells you in the beginning, it's the Fall of the Arbiter, I think is what it's called. Fall of the Arbiter cinematic, if I'm not mistaken. Just quickly see here. Listen to what he says here. Everything in the Shadowlands screams order.
For uncounted eons, the Shadowlands was in perfect order.
This is reminiscent of the engines that we see on Azeroth. These giant structures that has one goal and one job only: to ensure that everything happens according to a purpose, so that things don't happen out of place. Everything has a reason, and they need to ensure that everything happens according to that reason. For uncounted eons, the Shadowlands was in perfect order. The Shadowlands is death. It should not have anything to do with order. If you look at the Archon, you look at the different Eternal Ones, they are exactly the spitting image of the normal Titans, consumed by order, consumed by their own destinies, the jobs that they have, and they must do these jobs at all times. Why is the Shadowlands built this way? Why must all these souls go to one of these 4 zones? And these 4 zones enslave us for all eternity to ensure that the Shadowlands, the order within the Shadowlands, is never upset. The order must never fall. This is what Oribos's job is, and we know that Oribos was built by Titans. Literally looks like a capacitor. It does look like one giant fucking battery, so to speak. All the citizens in Oribos practically sneeze order. They go on about it so much. I mean, they just... If I told you what the Eternal Ones is in the Shadowlands, right? But I didn't give you their names. I just told you what they do. Would you not think I'm talking about the Titans? Would you not think, oh, you're probably talking about Amanthul or Aenar or... That's exactly what you think. They are the spitting image of one another. But it makes sense. It does make sense, because if you go back to the origin story of the universe, in the beginning, there was an ocean of light. That ocean of light would have been surrounded by an ocean of void. The void would have been all around the ocean of light. The ocean of light exploded outwards into the great beyond, and energy, giant, massive sources of energy, found stars of heat that they would settle nearby, and they would attract planets to them. Where does these stars come from? Where does this energy come from? It comes from the light. The Titans are nothing more than light beings. This order that they believe they have, it comes from the light. All of this comes from the light. All of this comes from the void. All of this was built to keep all of this out. This entire closed loop system, this system that we see here, was built to ensure that disorder, death, and void never make it into this. Because this, and this is all part of this. The light brings life. The light brings order. Disorder and death comes from void. MS Paint? I don't think I've ever used MS Paint. Oh, you're talking about Apocalypse wanting to bring out paint. Natural order comes from life? No, I don't think so. No, Giant Rat Guy, I genuinely don't think so. If you read the Chronicles, literally the creation of the universe, there is no chance whatsoever that the Titans were born from light. The Titans were born from light. There's literally no other way that they could have been born. Life itself was born from the light because life itself comes from the Titans. It's thanks to their stars or their energy for finding places near stars to sort of settle down that life was even capable of existing in the universe. So light is the father of life and order. Void or shadow is the father of death and disorder. And this entire system here in the middle is a prison built by light to ensure that nothing ever overtakes it. But Zuval, one of the Eternal Ones, like Sargeras, realized the game is up. It's rigged. And at some point, things are going to go very, very wrong. Both of them realized it, and both of them did the same thing. They wanted to do the same thing, to destroy the system, to rip the system apart. Because this system, while yes, does offer an insane amount of power. Let's be real about that. The system does offer an insane amount of power. The system offers an insane amount of power to the other side as well. If the other side was ever to get their hands on your system, your closed loop system, you wouldn't be able to stop them. Because you've legitimately built the power the battery that would charge them. It's like the old saying, fucking hell. I'm trying to translate it to English because it's in Afrikaans, but it basically boils down to don't rejoice when your president, the president that you voted for, bans certain things, because if the president that comes in that you didn't vote for gets that same power, he will use it against you, right? That's basically what the saying boils down to. It's difficult to fucking translate directly into English. But that's basically what the jailer and Sargeras realized. It's fine now. The system works great now while life is in control of it. But should any of these other forces get their hands on it, that's not going to be as fun. And they are making headway. We know that the veil is weakening, right? Literally from the old gods themselves. The prison is weakening. What if they weren't talking about the prison of N'Zoth? What if they were talking about the prison itself, this prison? What if this prison is the one that's weakening? What if that is why Zuval and Sargeras knew that this entire system had to be brought low? Because they realized that the prison will not hold forever. At some point, the prison will give in. And then it will be hell on fucking earth. Because disorder, death, and the void will march on this system and take everything they can from it. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? Right, wrong? Do people agree, disagree? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.